Hi guys and welcome. This is Nick John Wick. That's a poltergeist. And this is a ghost guide. You're welcome. Welcome to the latest instalment of This is a Ghost Guide. Today we're looking into the eerie and kind of violent world of the poltergeist. In case you haven't guessed already. No spoiler alert because you do unlock this entity quite early in the game for This is a Ghost, so I'm not having a spoiler alert. I'm not doing it. Don't come at me in the comments. It's fine, okay? Just chill out. It's not that deep. Unfortunately. These mischievous and disruptive entities are actually a bundle of energy. So they're not a ghost per se, although their name does roughly translate as the noisy ghost. Poltergeists have intrigued and disrupted people for centuries, usually choosing one particular person to focus their rage on, and they always have a favourite room, of which they're very territorial. But lucky for you guys over on the YouTube, I've compiled this little short guide to help you guys out, to let you know a little bit more of the intricate details and behaviour tells for poltergeists when you're in a contract for This is a Ghost. As always though, we will go into a little bit of lore and a little bit of history, because it will help you guys in understanding the model that Nusi Games has constructed in terms of the poltergeist. Just like our last guide, the Shadem, I've done too much research, but I found out a lot. Poltergeists are one of the most famous entities, so it was pretty easy to do. They cause unexplainable noises, they move objects, sometimes without you even noticing. They're a little bit of a trickster, but they prefer to be violent. They are the daddy of all entities, they hit hard and they are fast. Once again, class is in session. We'll start with some theory, we'll move into practical, and then I'll show you a little montage at the end of pretty much what can happen if you get it just even a little bit wrong. You can't make a mistake with a poltergeist, and you'll see why in a minute. But guys, if you do like this type of content, please consider subscribing. It's free, and it's quick. You press a button. Why have you not done it yet? Do you want me to cry? Oh. Poltergeist is actually derived from the German word polter, to make noise, chaos or racket. Okay? And Geist translates as spirit. So, it's a noisy spirit. It does act in similar ways to the ghost and the spirit, and This is a Ghost. But there's a little bit of a difference, and I'm going to go over that with you guys pretty soon. The spirit has balls, the poltergeist doesn't. And maybe that's what makes him so angry. A poltergeist is actually thought to be a disruptive, a mischievous, supernatural entity. He's an unexplainable force. Okay, a lot of researchers do believe that poltergeists are a bundle of chaotic energy left within a house after a traumatic event or a lot of turmoil. Some people actually believe if you leave the house, the poltergeist's natural energy will dissipate because that chaos and turmoil is no longer there. Other people, however, believe the poltergeist to follow you. So, you know, there's that. Poltergeists are associated with unexplained noises, movement or levitation of objects, and occasionally physical harm. Now that makes sense because in the game he's very, very strong. These are important points to note, especially with regards to the translation of the poltergeist in This is a Ghost. I personally believe poltergeists to be much more malicious and violent than ghosts and spirits. They have a special ability as well, and you will see that in the game, but when they do use that ability, run. Poltergeists are described as staying invisible. Sometimes they will not come out or show any abilities when a stranger is nearby. In terms of collecting evidence, I do feel like this can sometimes be true to lore. And what I mean by that is, us being the hunter, we're a stranger to that house and environment. I feel like at times a poltergeist can be shy because of that. Sometimes he doesn't care. And one of my quickest contracts was actually against a poltergeist, who decided to use his ability 3 times upon me entering his house. But that's also an important thing to note. When you enter a poltergeist's favourite room, things start to happen. I don't know how else to explain that to you. Once again, I spent days, weeks and months recording, watching and creating this guide. It's fun, really, honest. In this case, you see what happens when you pile up objects. You'll see the poltergeist's ability. Oh god. But I also did a montage at the end. For all of my, outtakes. Not only in creating this video, but against a poltergeist. I hope you enjoy that. So, the first thing that I noticed about the footage that I viewed, in all of the contracts, when I went into the favourite room, and I seen the distortion, that's important, things started happening. If I stayed in that room 5-10 seconds, you'll see objects moving, and TV going on, you'll hear noises and audio, knocking, lots of different things. Sometimes, just even before I got to the favourite room, I would notice that he's already interacted, and that would be a really good indicator as to where the favourite room was. Now with a poltergeist, just like lore, he can be shy with strangers. It might take you a couple of times around about the house for that distortion to show. Remember, you can always use incense if you want to speed it up. More times out of not though, I actually identified the favourite room because he had already interacted with it in some way, or he interacted in that area as I stepped inside it. You will see that in this gameplay, and it's really interesting. That actually happened in every contract, okay? I got really excited because I'm a geek. Come at me. At this point, I'm hardened. Right, anyway. They kind of protect one room. You may find a lot of evidence happening in that one area. But you will also see in every other room in the house, 1 or 2 objects have subtly been moved. Again, you'll see it in the contract. And because history and lore does state that they're notorious for attacking and targeting one person, I do wonder myself how this might translate into multiplayer. That's a huge question and a huge theory that I have, because majoritively I am a solo player. I would really like to know your experiences with poltergeists on multiplayer. Do they kind of single out one person, or does everyone face the chaos? Piling up objects, interactable objects and stuff, they will actually cause a hunt or an activity or evidence to happen. Do that at risk. Don't start doing that at the start of the game. It's not worth it. They can hunt kind of early at 65, okay? You can see that on the journal entry. So I wouldn't really be doing that at the start of a contract, but, if you've identified it's a poltergeist and you want something fun to do, and you want to create an explosion, go for it. But also know that it's a good way to trigger a hunt if you're getting to the end of the game and you want to trigger that on. Poltergeist cases can actually fill your camera up really quickly. Now, if you're in a case and all of a sudden your camera of 12 photos is full, and 3-star, you know that you're either dealing with a ghost, spirit, or poltergeist. But no, seriously, just like a ghost and a spirit, very active, lots of interactions, but a little bit different at the same time. Interactions may happen in other rooms as he walks by, and he's just a little bit more aggressive and violent. Like I said, I have noticed a pattern with the EMF reader, the dots of activity showing, but there's nothing to show for it. Nothing's been moved. You haven't heard anything. Maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 dots have all just appeared at once. That's something I really viewed as a pattern in every game at some point. And now our final point is some of the more important stuff. His speed, his agility and his strength. Let me summarise it. It's a lot. I'm glad we covered that. He's a nasty boy. Or girl. Or two-spirit penguin. I don't know who he identifies as. Anyway, poltergeists can run around ruins. Really difficult thing for a Scottish person to say. Just saying. If you aren't standing in a good spot or a good line, he will easily run around the ruin and get your health down to 1 HP in one shot. He's very, very risky entity to go up against. So either start right in the middle of that ruin, moving backwards as he comes at you, or really get a good line of sight. And just be careful of to which direction he comes, okay? He's extremely strong and he's extremely fast. He can travel at speeds of up to 400 centimetres a second. One of the fastest entities out there. Of course there is a range. He won't always be that fast. because he starts at 150, but more often than not, he's a fast fucker. I'm trying not to swear as much, okay, but I'm Scottish. It's going to slip out. Finally, a poltergeist ability is obviously his biggest tell. As soon as you see it once, and anytime you see it again, you'll know right away that it's a poltergeist. But that doesn't make it an easy game. Far from it, okay? Nusi Games has actually balanced it super well. Even when he does show you his ability, he's about 3 times as fast and strong, and he will hunt early. Guaranteed. So as soon as he shows his ability, craft your rune, craft your ammo, get ready. Even if you still have photos to take, just make sure you're ready. You can go from smashing out a perfect run and feeling really good about a contract to, well, perishment. And I'll show you how fast. That fast. Okay. A poltergeist usually takes around 3 shots to banish, and that is on average amongst the 20 plus cases that I've recorded and viewed. It's getting to that stage that matters though. When you have to be careful is when you don't know what behaviour it is, because you don't know what rune to put out. Like I said, he will get you down to 1 HP really quickly. So I'm going to show you a way around that. Now, I'm really excited. We're going to jump right into that practical session. We've covered some really important safety points, so you guys are going to be safe this entire time. Get your hunting equipment, pull up your socks, and get out your notepads. We're going to deal with a poltergeist on Old Hunting on hard. Let's go. Okay, here we are in Old Hunting. Now this is actually one of my favourite maps. It's a good size, it's well balanced, like this is a ghost in general, and it pays out as well. The games, they aren't too long at all, and you can repeat them to make money and medals quite quickly. So we check the quest as always to see if we're allowed to use incense or if I need to use the Ouija board, and we game plan accordingly. Since we don't need to do any of that, we actually go ahead and find the cursed object in the garage, and then we begin to locate the cube location. We also try to find the favourite room and if there's any orbs. So if you do need help with these locations, I'll provide a map soon. Now I've not cut too much out of this gameplay because it's important for you to see the interaction the Polty does, and I'll highlight some key points along the way. So I begin by setting up equipment outside, although it does bug my OCD a little bit. But I do use the EMF reader to try locate activity and do a search of the lower floor. I was suspicious of up here though, and you'll see why in a little second. When I do come up here, the door is already open. And like I said at the start of the video, the poltergeist does like to lure you to around about his favourite room. So, suspicious, right? And he'll do that by either interacting as you arrive or having already interacted like you did here. Now listen. Did you hear that? Just, right? So as I check these rooms, you may hear that book being moved. It happens in all the contracts that I've viewed. Being near the poltergeist in its favourite room will cause activity. Now I did have a difficult time seeing the distortion, and again it's true to its history and nature. Every poltergeist case, the distortion is not something that shows right away. It takes a second, or 300. But keep an eye on this EMF, okay? Keep an eye on it through the contract, and even go back to the attic and look at it then. The EMF meter often shows multiple activity dots, sometimes without an apparent case. Again, playing into the poltergeist nature of harassing its victims and causing mayhem and chaos. So we're still early in the game and activity spikes. Wherever the entity roams, objects will be thrown, the phones will ring, TVs will switch on, and it will cause things to feel similar to a ghost or a spirit, with multiple interactions and photo opportunities at once. In some poltergeist contracts, I saw the phone trigger 4 and 5 times. But again, this is the noisy entity. The poltergeist will actually leave items and objects out of place without you even hearing them being moved. You may see things happen on your EMF reader with no apparent cause, so you may get dots of activity, but you haven't seen it or heard anything. And this plays into the nature of harassing these victims and generally making them go crazy for a while before he violently ends them. Now he will do a lot of voices, so pay attention to that, but also I've noticed that he does a lot of knocking as well. So he will do a lot of knocking, a lot of phones, maybe even visions of hell, which does tie into his lore of setting spontaneous fires. So you know, it's all very interesting. But pay attention, in a couple of seconds we're going to see the poltergeist ability. Now notice he talks a little bit as I walk up to one of the things that he has thrown. Again, he knocks. Me opening and closing these doors a couple of times, it didn't go so well. Now that's the Polty ability, and when he does this it makes him incredibly strong. As soon as you hear or witness this, craft immediately, or at very least get a rune loaded. Now the problem in this contract is that we still don't know what favourite room is, but we use our incense to locate it. Now incense placed between 5 and 15 metres of the entity's favourite room will push the entity back there and show the distortion. So like here, the favourite room is in the upper hallway, and that makes sense. As soon as we come up there, that book moved. He doesn't really like us being in this area, and now the evidence is coming fast as well. Now have a little look, in every single room he has actually moved something, okay? Sometimes kinda subtle, sometimes not. But we're going to match him, okay? We're going to create our own poltergeist pile ourselves. Did you hear the drums there? Noisy entity? Do you get my drift? Good. Now, every room I go in has one, maybe two things slightly out of place. If you know the map, you will see this right away. Every time I move one of these objects, he interacts back, okay? So he's trying to play me at my own game, kind of. So you might notice that every time I move an object, the poltergeist will respond. And so much so that I do actually craft up his bullets early, because it was kind of scaring me, I'm not going to lie. And the reason for that being, he showed his ability. If he hits you even once, he will take you down to 1 HP. And the difficulty then is, if you do not know the behaviour type. So as you can see here, my shield is gone. And that is because during his ability, I put it up, I hit it once, and he took my entire shield in one hit. Now that is not abnormal for a poltergeist, okay? It's not. Anyway, I'm a bit nervous at this point because the lights started blowing. I craft up my ammo right away. But yeah, back to the shield. Now, it's not unusual for him to take 60 or 70 off. Now that's quite lucky. Most of the time he'll take every single piece of your shield. The danger then lies if you don't know what behaviour type the ghost is. If he's not shown you a lost behaviour type, or a jump scare or grab, and you're choosing between residual and lost, it may be an idea, especially with a poltergeist, to put both behaviour runes out, because like I said, one hit after his ability, it will take you down to 1 HP, and yeah, try escaping from that. Now, the couple of the big objects, the football and the dinner plates, these were the things that actually set him off, but piling stuff into your Polty pile, as I call it, that gives you more chance of seeing evidence, but it also carries with it a risk. As you see, he's starting to get a little bit of energy here, but it does contain a risk. It can trigger a hunt, like this, and it can also trigger abilities, so you have to be really careful and be really quick as well. Now I start freaking out here because I forgot about my shield at this point in the contract, and I stand well back. Now in my head I don't know if he is close or far away, and I kinda don't want to risk moving to put that lost rune out, but I gather my Scottish courage and I do it, okay? I always say this is one of the best ways to attempt to fight a poltergeist, to put both runes out. And he does turn out to be residual, but if this poltergeist was vengeful, we were in a lot of trouble, okay? It's a very big risk to be in a small room, and if you're not quite sure the behaviour, don't risk it. The poltergeist usually is banished in about 3 shots, average of holy water. This game he does fall in line with that, so that was shot 1. I do use the door and the switch with the poltergeist in order to direct him to where to hunt, but watch these items. Hello. So yeah, I really love the poltergeist, especially when you pile up items in a room. It'll explode them everywhere, and I'll show you that in a second. We'll do a little walkthrough. Some of these items, they got some height, okay? Now that was shot 2. And shot 3 will come right around here. Now we see him coming eventually. He is quite fast, right? So if you do see, he jumps from the end of the living room to that vase there in about a second. So that's round about the size of that bathroom itself. So please don't do what I do. But, you know, I'm Scottish, so there we are. It's dead. I mean, it's perished. Yeah. Only problem is the cause of death. I finally wrote it in the book, which we were very grateful for, because that gave us our perfect contract. And in Old Haunting Hard, perfect contracts, they pay out the big bucks, okay? For a relatively quick game and a rinse and repeat, you're really going to grind up levels of money here. So on the way out, I actually saw how far this poltergeist threw our coffee. Now this guy was strong, okay? If we have a little look around about the house, you'll be able to see, true to his name, he has caused chaos pretty much everywhere. That is just typical poltergeist. The fun thing about that contract is anytime you pile up objects, you're going to get an explosion. And I love that about it. You can't fight him with a knife, but you can do it with this video. I do hope that helped you guys. If it did help you against the poltergeist, the theory and the practical, I'm going to show you a little montage of what's going to happen if you get it wrong. Now, these contracts can change in the blink of an eye. So just be careful and give the poltergeist the respect he deserves. There's a reason why he's so famous. Thank you. Now, if this guide did help you, please give me a little subscription. I do plan on bringing out quite a lot of guides on entities. So as you can see here, quick 8,000, quite a few hunter medals, and Nick John Wick is a happy camper. You're welcome. Feel free to pause it right here, because we're about to get into a montage. Let's go.
May God be with you all.
Well, that happened. I mean, what?
Tonight, I'ma get lit. Tonight.